Everything you need is already inside of you. The world would not be what it is without you. When we begin to create change within us, we begin to create change in the world around us. Your journey to becoming your best self as the whole person starts right now.
Welcome to the podcast. This is Lauren Sweeney. I am your host on the Becoming Your Best podcast and webinar series. I'm so excited for this conversation. It is something that I love to teach on, and our guest does as well. Confidence, showing up and making an impression so that your story and your voice can absolutely be heard. Our guest today, let me tell you a little bit about her, and then I will bring her onto our stage. She is none other than Molly Trotter. She is a former television news anchor, and she's dedicated her life's work to telling other people's stories and giving them a platform for their voice to be heard. After she left the news industry, she found her calling in the world of digital marketing, helping coaches and consultants through on-camera coaching, plus increasing their influence and conversations through custom strategies to grow their business online with the Dream Factory team. Oh, let's get her, let's grab her and bring her on stage. Molly Trotter, welcome.
Thank you, Lauren. I'm super excited to be here.
We're so glad to have you. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your passions right now.
Yeah, so you already covered quite a bit. So my name is Molly Trotter Gomez. Recently got married, had a pandemic wedding. So that was fun, whole nother story. But what I love to do is I really love being able to help people share their story and just get visible on the online space. And so it's such an important thing for everybody to do because our story is meant to be mentorship to somebody else. So as you mentioned, Lauren, being able to do that through television, really understanding that was not my avenue because it's very depressing. Their objectives really are to instill fear in people. The pay, the time off, and the hours were just garbage when I was in there. I couldn't even tell you how many times I was put in, harm's way because they wanted the story. And I'm in my early 20s, nobody around but just me and my camera, just trying to figure it out. But I knew that I went through all that for a reason. 5 years of that, I really got so much out of it. So then coming into the digital space, I should probably back up just a little bit. I got into the digital space before I got out of the news, helping people build their personal brands because I loved the branding space of like, here I am on Instagram, on Facebook, wherever. Get to know me. If you like me, great. If not, okay. That's totally fine. And so when I got out of the news, I just dove right into that, absolutely loved it. And then I saw the digital space for really what it was and how big it is. So the Dream Factory team, as you mentioned, is a team that I am partnered with. My business partner and I have created basically a one-stop shop for service-based entrepreneurs where they can get the back-end help that they need, creating, copywriting, creating funnels and ads. You might not even know what a funnel is, but it's a marketing strategy to really help drive traffic, AKA people, into your offer so they can really see what you're doing. Getting that visibility piece because the internet has a bazillion things going on all the time, but how do you get people to see your message and what you offer? And so we really focus in on that. And then the last little piece is the on-camera coaching that I get to do is coming from my news background, helping people get that confidence and that clarity to get their message out there on video, because video marketing is the best form of marketing, in my opinion. I'm biased, but it's also really powerful. So helping people get through those mindset blocks and those hurdles, and within 90 days, just shooting to the moon to really be able to have that confidence to be like, hey, my name is so-and-so, I can help you in X, and here's the result I want to get to you, and really be intentional with what you do. Because I see a lot of people get online and they're sharing content kind of like, well, we'll see how this goes. But the intentionality of it, that's where we really need to, kind of put the gas on it so people can really understand this is what I want to do for a living, this is how I want to serve, and let other people know about it.
I love it. Absolutely. That camera piece is so important. And so many people, we did a survey recently with thousands of professionals, 82% are too nervous to show up and come on camera. And yet that is your voice. That's your story.
Yes.
It matters. And people want to see you. They don't want a static photo of a coffee mug or a pen. They want to see you. They're going to like, or maybe not like, you.
Right.
And they want to resonate with that. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you actually care about contributing and meeting with them. I couldn't agree more. Tell me, what are some of the favorite parts, you might have several, of what you do now?
Oh my goodness. Well, I love what I do, first and foremost. And I hope and I pray and I wish everybody can get to this point, because at the end, it's not saying it's easy work, because it's not. I feel very accomplished and exhausted at the end of the day, but I know that I'm doing what I'm meant to do. So that is absolutely number one. And then just what I also get to do, honestly, is I get to listen to people's stories. I get to either help them in what it is that I do or refer them to other people that are doing great work. I love, honestly, being like a glorified referral partner, in a sense of like, I want people to come to me and be like, Molly, do you know so-and-so that can be an executive assistant or Instagram manager, or that can help me get investment funding for a business I'm starting? I just love being able to put those pieces together and help people in their journey. Because back when, I wish somebody could do the same for me, and I had little bits of help here and there, but I've always wanted to help people get a hand up and just really be able to move in the direction they need to. And then the last piece, I would say, it's, visibility. And yeah, the visibility part is what I'll sit on. I'm like, I have a whole bunch of other pieces in my mind that I want to talk about, but let's talk about the visibility part, because there's so much out there, so many courses, so much content. We're not lacking in information these days at all. We have more information now than we do ever before. So it's not a lack of information. It's a lack of people not wanting to take that step forward and having somebody push them, have that accountability, or even push that visibility piece right there. Because a lot of people don't launch. A lot of coaches fail within their first year or two because they don't put themselves out there, because they rather tell themselves no than have somebody else tell them no. They rather just cut the cord. And I'm like, no, give yourself a chance. I've had a lot of failed businesses. I know a lot of other entrepreneurs that are very successful, 6 to 8 figures, that have had quite a few failed businesses. They've just failed enough times to have enough feedback to know what works. And then they really put the gas on that. So the visibility piece is important, and people just need to put themselves out there, and then let the chips fall where they may, whether it's working, whether it's not, and then be open to refining the process, because there's a reason why you want to get your story out there. Listen to that, and then be able to be open to having support, having a coach, a mentor, getting into a mastermind or something to help guide you in that direction.
Where would you suggest someone starts? They're thinking, gosh, Molly, I really need to transition. I need to be more visible. Do I automatically invest in ads? Of course, no. But, do I, we can answer that one. But where do I start? There's so many pieces, and how do I even navigate which direction I want to go?
So good. I love that you said, do I want to start with ads? You're right. N-O, exclamation point. Do not start there. Ads are only for somebody who has a proven process and you want to put some good money behind it to get that going. So please don't start there. I even tell people inside of our business, like, unless you're making at least $10,000 a month, don't jump into ads. Honestly, just don't. So where do people start? It all starts with your story. This is where it always starts. And social media is such a powerful tool when used correctly. So when you're able to share your story, what part matters, I really help people refine to like a 30, 60, 90-second story, that elevator pitch, if you will, because people aren't, if you have like a 10-minute video on Facebook, maybe they'll tune in if it's alive, but if it's not, they may not, And so if you can get to the point of sharing your story in these bite-sized pieces and having a good call to action at the end, or go visit my website, or go visit the link in my profile, or, send them somewhere, because people want to be guided on where they need to go. That's why we have stoplights, stop signs, lanes on the highway. Like, people need guidance, right? So being able to share your story in bite-sized pieces to give people the gist of who you are is going to be so powerful. So that's first and foremost, number one. And with that, I would say start messy, because you're probably like, I don't even know what that sounds like. Start messy, start writing things down, start refining. And that's really where it starts, because if you don't have who you are and what you do and why this matters, people aren't going to care what you're doing. So you really have to be able to refine things and not think everything matters, in the sense of, I have a big parts of my story that are a big piece of it. I used to work in the restaurant industry. I used to be in network marketing. I've picked blueberries for a job. I'm not going to add those into my story, because they don't really add up to the bigger piece of the puzzle. I want people to know that I can help them get that visibility and confidence on camera and in their coaching. I'm going to talk about the pieces that can really guide them into that. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, I love that. We talk so much about their personal and their professional brand, and that people want to get to know you. I'll often coach a business professional, and she's nervous to share that she also loves to barbecue. But that's all part of like your brand and people
Yeah.
getting to know you. And I love what you said. Like, I might not tell them I used to pick blueberries, and I might not tell them I used to do network marketing, et cetera, because it doesn't go with your current personal and professional branding. So that's where I would start as well, right? Like, what is it that is important to you, and
Mhm.
getting that visibility? I love the benchmarks too that you put out there, so that there's some kind of focus and people have a place that they can navigate from.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
absolutely. And even on that, it's not that if I wanted to one day go on my Instagram story, for example, and be like, hey guys, you see me what I do now, but guess what? One of my first jobs was picking blueberries and I got fired because I got in a fight with somebody and started throwing blueberries at them and they fired me. Now, I don't remember that. My mom loves to tell me that story and I'm like, okay, whatever. And so they're like, what? You picked blueberries? Why? But at the end of the day, it brings some relatability back to it. And that's why I love the platform Instagram, for example, because you can show those great behind the scenes. But when it comes to sharing your story to people that you just meet or want to know what you do, you got to condense it for them and give them that hook as to why they should care. And then later on, you share the story, get to the meat of who you really are, because I'm old school. Anybody that wants to talk to me, I love being able to get on like a pre-interview or a pre-call chat of some sort so I can really get to know the other person, because there's so much you can learn about somebody behind the profile when you take the time to do that.
Absolutely. I love that as well. It has intention behind it.
Yeah.
So, what is your story and what is your intention? Why are we communicating? That's a great place to start. What are some favorite books or things that are inspiring you right now?
So funny. Somebody did this to me the other day, and obviously you can see I have a whole bunch of, I'm not pointing in the right direction. Anyways, it's backwards. I have a whole bunch of books here. So I just went over this with people. So I will pick out the top three that I just, and it's so convenient here, right? Okay. So I am a huge John Maxwell fan. This book's called No Limits, talking about raising your capacity. So good. My word for this year is capacity. And then I'm almost like, why did I do that? Because my capacity has been so stretched, but I'm so glad I was open to the challenge, right? Because if you're going to ask for something, you're going to pray for something, it's going to be delivered. You gotta be ready for that. I'm also a very big faith-based person. I love investing as well, being able to have my money work for me while I sleep. So Becoming a Millionaire God's Way. Oh my gosh, this is like one of the fastest reads I've ever had. And it was so good. And actually one of the chapters in this book, the day after Christmas, I'll never forget it. I put my money into an investment and tripled it in 3 months because I got that nudge of like, hey, you should probably do this. Went for it. And boom, I was like, I'm so glad. I'm so glad that I did that. And then lastly, building a story brand. This one's super, super good. So then inside of this, you can really get down to what kind of we're talking about now is how do you share your story like concisely to the point where it's going to matter for people, where you're not throwing in I picked blueberries when I was 15. You're putting in the pieces that matter that go with what you're doing now. So those 3 books, I definitely recommend. So it can kind of touch on a lot of different places to really support you in your life.
Oh, I love that. So let's talk a little bit about capacity, because so many people that are listening are entrepreneurs and they're in the middle of their journey. I guess we're always in the middle or somewhere in our journey.
Right.
Talk to me about, so your word was capacity and
Mhm.
it has been delivered and now you're in a season of abundance. What is some wisdom, and maybe you're giving that to yourself too, to entrepreneurs out there that are feeling a little bit stretched? What are some things that, or some tools that you do to prevent that burnout?
Yes. So first of all, having accountability. Talk to somebody. Talk to somebody that you trust, a friend, a colleague, somebody in business with you, somebody that you can trust, and having that, hey, can I just like chat with you to just be open about this? And taking the time to do that. So many people want to be like, I got it. I'm good. We're fine. I don't need anything. But having that accountability to share really what's going on so people can really get a good look into your life to support you, not to come down on you, but to support and love you through the process. That's so important. And so many people miss out on that. So that's definitely on a personal and professional level. And then onto like an accountability when it comes to like a business level as well, is hiring a coach, a mentor, getting into a mastermind. Like I mentioned, I actually just put a post up about this on social media. I wish I did that sooner. I wish I took that leap sooner, because that's the shortcut to success. They're taking all their years of information, like my on-camera coaching, for example. I have over 10 years of being in front of the camera, well over 10,000 hours of putting into this, if that's considered a master, right? And so I'm giving you all that into, that program. There's a lot of other people that have a lot of years of expertise, condensing it into a 90-day, 6-month, year program, what have you. So instead of you taking the 10, 20 years it took them to figure out whatever they have, you're condensing that into whatever time, 6 months to a year, what have you. That is so important. And so many people don't want to put that investment down. So that capacity part is like, I'm feeling stretched. Well, why? You probably are in an area where you either aren't talking to somebody to help, vent and kind of get things out or get the blood flow and the creativity flowing, or you're not like being able to take that leap of hiring somebody to help give you that shortcut and to really support you in that process. Because if you think about some of the most successful people out there, like Grant Cardone or Oprah Winfrey or, whoever it is that you want to look at, even, Steve Jobs and everything he's created, massive teams behind them. What does it look like to bring on team members, an assistant here, somebody there to do the things that aren't the best use of your time to really help you move forward and to really help you, progress in life, to give you that support. So those two things right there are probably the first things that really have helped me in my capacity to grow. And the last piece I'll even add on this is time for reflection. Time for reflection. What's working? What's not? What feels in alignment with you, and really being able to listen to that inner voice, because a lot of us has shut it out because it's telling us things we probably don't want to hear, but we need to listen to. And so that's why things are probably also a little tough. So those are the things that I would say that are really going to help you with growing that capacity, is having accountability with people to talk to, having accountability like a coach to be able to mentor you, and then really being able to have that reflection time to think about what's really working and how can I pivot from here, or am I in a good place?
Absolutely. I love that. Self-reflection, taking some time to be able to hear the intuition and then having the courage to listen to it.
Right.
Absolutely. We love to ask all of our guests, what does rise up for you mean to you?
Oh, well, I love the word rise. Rise up is great. And then rise up for you. When I first hear that, it's like you get to put you first. Like if you don't pour into you, it's nobody else's job to pour into you. You have to take care of you first. So rise up for you. Take the time, take the resources, whatever you need to do to make you the best person you can be. And then if you're that type of person that wants to pour into everybody else, great. Guess what? Your cup's full. So rise up for you first, and then you really get to pour into other people. That's what it says to me.
I love it. Absolutely. Filling ourselves, then it's the put your oxygen mask on first, and then you can put it on the kids or whoever's with you.
Right.
Yes, I love that. Molly, how can we connect with you and find you?
Yeah, of course. So probably the best and easiest way, you could either go to mollytrotter.com, and we have it right there in the screen, or even on Instagram. I'm on there most of the time. There it is, Molly_Trotter. I love it. She's so prepared. So super easy. Send me a message, say that you saw me on this show, and just let me know what you got going on. I love to be able to serve in any way that I can, because again, I just love being able to just help people where they need to go. And even if I'm not the best resource, my brain already starts working of like, who can I connect them with? Because we're one connection away from something or someone that's going to completely change our life if we're open to it. So would love to be able to hear from you guys.
Oh, I love that. So if you're listening to the show, it's Molly Trotter, MOLLYTROTTER.com. And you can also find her on the gram, Molly_Trotter, TROTTER. Oh my goodness. Fantastic spending time and being with you today. We would love to end with a final question. What is a golden nugget that you feel's just on your heart recently? Something maybe that's inspiring you, or like a big theme recently? It sounds like capacity for sure and filling your own cup, but anything else?
Yeah. And it's so funny. I have, if you can only see my desk right now, a world of sticky notes, because I get nuggets from people all day long when I talk to them. But probably one of the biggest things that I learned, and I even mentioned it on this live here, is in the information age. I'm going to reiterate it, that we are not lacking in information. Honestly, we probably get overwhelmed because there's so much out there on Instagram, Facebook, Google, and we think we can go find those answers. And maybe you can, but how long is that going to take you? at the end of the day, we need somebody to push us. We need to have that accountability. And I really do think, inside of the coaching world, whether it's relationships, business, life coaching, whatever that is, that's going to be the new wave of an essential service to help people really dial in. And how do you, be able to get to your dream to serve other people faster? So it's not a lack of information. It's a lack of people not having that accountability that they need, and they need to take that next step. And when I heard that from this lady that was out of South Africa, I was like, oh my gosh, that is like the nugget of the month here. I got to write that down. And I kid you not, I think I've shared that with just about everybody I have talked to since then, because it was that powerful for me to be like, that is so right. And then be able to pass that on. So you never know what kind of nuggets you pick up that you just need to share with other people, but you also get to put yourself out there to talk to other people and learn from them as well.
I love that. Molly Trotter, it's been so great having you on the show today. I know that if we were having the audience, we could hear them, they'd be clapping. Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you so much, Lauren. This has been great. I love what you're doing, and thank you so much for having me as a guest.
You're so welcome. Wasn't she amazing? So many golden nuggets, and really developing ourselves and learning how do you show up and where do you begin, because it really does make a difference. Well, I'm Lauren Sweeney. I'm your host on the Become Your Best podcast and webinar series. And today we have a special treat for all of you that are listening. We have 6 spots left in our public speaking and mastermind course on how to take the stage. So apropos for what we're talking about today. So text 949-416-0671. Just text public speaking to 949-416-0671 to get all the info on joining this important class. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon.